Hello. Today we have the pleasure of being with Anna Collucci. She is Director of the Energy and Environment Directorate of DG Competition in the European Commission. And we want to ask you a few questions. So my first question is, do you think of energy markets as an enabler of the energy transition? Or is it sometimes perceived as a barrier as well?
Okay, it's an interesting question. I think we need to start from the context. And what we know is that the energy transition will require enormous investment. And therefore, if we have integrated energy markets, this will reduce the cost of such a transition because member states will not have to plan to be self-sufficient. And in recent studies, for instance, one by the Bruegel report, they have acknowledged and evaluated that if you don't have an integration in the energy market, the cost for security of supply will increase by 20%. So this is the first element to keep in mind. But of course, for member states to be confident that they can rely on such an integration, we need to enforce the rules. This is extremely important as well. So if you allow for then the market to work at all times, including during crisis period, as we have seen in 2022, this will bring benefit because trade will take place and electricity will go where it is needed.
Okay, very insightful. Thank you. So now my second question will be, we observe a growing role of national support schemes that might hamper market integration. How do you strike the right balance between national tailor-made support schemes and European-level integrated approaches?
Thank you. So indeed, we see that the spending takes place within the national boundaries. And what happens is basically that the member states that have the most financial needs are the ones that are spending the most. And it's not necessarily where the renewables are most needed. But this is something that, for instance, the state aid rules allow. So what we try to do, nevertheless, is to make sure that within these rules, we try to foster as much as possible integration and make sure that the internal market trading is not hindered. And one example that might be maybe telling is the fact that, for instance, if you have tenders, auctions that take place at European level rather than national level, then you see the prices go down dramatically. This has been the case not later than in February, where there were big auctions for hydrogen, and the results were really surprising because the prices went really down. So there you can see the benefit of an integrated market.
Thank you. Again, very interesting also to reflect on this example of hydrogen auctions. More recently, a lot of focus was on the market design reform, and we've seen that a lot of issues were picked up in the reform, such as grid bottlenecks, long-term contracts, and offshore regulation. So we wanted to ask you could you tell us a bit more about one of these topics, maybe one that the Commission will work on over the next months?
Okay, thank you. Indeed, the recent electricity regulation has created quite a number of new fields to explore for the integration of the energy internal market. And most of these are of a regulatory nature, but they will have an impact on competition policy. And therefore, we are working closely with our colleagues from DG Energy on the topics. Among them, I would say the long-term contract is certainly among the ones that will attract a lot of attention and where member states might need guidance. This is why we are looking at what we call a two-way contract for difference, where we are trying to assess with our colleagues what are the best features for this type of contract, whether we can even harmonize some of the feature of this contract. And I know that, for instance, the Florence School of Regulation is also working on the topics. Other issues that are also of interest for the European citizen are the capacity mechanism. Here there have been already progress where the European regulators, ACER, has come very recently with a European adequacy assessment. It's the first time. And this will certainly also spur a number of field of work for the regulators and for the competition officials in order to help design and improving this type of capacity mechanism at European level, to see whether there is, for instance, need of having more harmonized feature at European level. And then concerning grid bottlenecks, because indeed, as you said, there is a lot of emphasis put on the need to increase infrastructure, but also to have more efficient infrastructure. And I think here there is a lot of discussion and reflection ongoing about what is the best price signal that we need to have, and at which level. So at which level the supply and demand will meet in order to give the best price. And in some member states, this is done at national level, which sometimes is not ideal. So there is also a lot of reflection from our side, but also on the regulatory side, whether we need to go a little bit more micro on what we call bidding zones, and even nodal, as some say. It's a little bit technical, but these are, I would say, the avenues and the type of reflections that are ongoing at the moment.
Okay, many thanks. And indeed, we've heard a lot about long-term contracts and their impacts also on competition, how to maybe have a more harmonized approach or not. So thank you.